See, I told you, Democrats. Donald Trump just said that he got the grocery prices down across all of the United States by 80%.
He
said he did that.
80%? That's amazing. What stores? Because I just went to the store. The eggs are still $8. Milk is still $5. Where are the prices going down 80%?
Oh, what stores? I don't really know any stores specifically. No one near me actually either. But he did say they're going down 80%.
The store. How do I take advantage of the low prices?
Well, yeah, and that is tricky. But I mean, Trump did, he said I pulled the switch and I brought prices down to 80% like I promised, and now they're cheap. But I mean, I don't know where they are either. But he said. Trump said. If
you're not seeing the prices going down, how will the prices actually? Just because he's saying the prices went down 80%. Doesn't actually mean the prices went. You have to actually see the prices going down when you go shopping. You do.
That's ideally yes, but what I like to do is I just pretend that the prices went down. I pretend that it's not as expensive.
That means the prices didn't go down. If you're just pretending they didn't.
Grocery prices aren't budging. Gas is through the roof, and the people who voted for relief are now pretending the pain isn't real. A war in the Middle East has oil past $100 a barrel, and every country on earth is feeling it. Welcome back to Mind Mirror. Let's get into it.
No.
I'm not willing to admit that I was wrong, so I'm going to pretend that I love it and that this was the plan.
You know what the most pathetic thing about MAGA is? Is that for most of them, the thing that will finally get them to turn on Trump will be gas prices.
Yeah, remember y'all was doing this? Don't say it's supreme. It's only a 20 cent less and shit. Remember y'all was saying this was Biden and shit? Who fault is that?
You know what, South Africans, brace yourselves. Petrol prices are set to bite even harder in April. 95 petrol could jump by as much as R4.27 a litre. Diesel isn't being spared either. It's climbing R7.04 to R7.15 a litre. Illuminating paraffin, that will surge by nearly R9 a litre. And that's before we even factor in the additional 21% increase in the fuel tax, which will only worsen the pinch at the pumps. And these hikes aren't random. They're driven by oil prices that have been skyrocketing above $100 a barrel thanks to Donald Trump and the Middle East conflict.
The South African reporter is laying out numbers that should make the whole world pause. Petrol surging, diesel climbing, paraffin nearly R9 a litre increase, and on top of that a 21% fuel tax hike. But here's the detail that stopped me cold. 2 weeks of strategic fuel reserves. That is all they have. 14 days between normal life and a full-blown energy crisis. This is not an American problem anymore. This is a global emergency, and the people furthest from the conflict are paying the steepest price every single time.
What do you think about gas prices, Mother?
I don't have a problem with gas prices.
So you're fine with them being high as long as it's under Trump?
No, because they're really not high to me.
So you think they're...
I lived through the Obama era.
You think they're going to go any higher? Well, I know, but
gallon.
Trump's main thing was that the prices were going to go down, and now they're only going up and not going to go down to at least 2027.
He's getting
Temporarily?
ready to release.
Definitely not.
You won't believe the conversation I just had with the MAGA over gasoline here. I'll have to tell you just a minute. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. Let me tell you in a second. Got to get in the car. Can't tell you now. Yeah, well, now I'm in the car. I can talk more about my little chat with this MAGA. This guy was probably 35 or 40 years old. He was wearing a MAGA hat, and he was pumping gas at the gas pump beside me. And he looks over at me, and he says, "What do you think about the election?" He said, "We're going to make America great again." And then he goes, "These gas prices," he said, "they are way, way, way too high under Biden. It's all Biden's fault." He says, "You know, Trump is going to cut gas prices in half." I said, "He is." I said, "Well, how is he going to do that? Do you know what plans or what action is Trump going to take to do that?" And he's kind of stuttering and kind of, he doesn't know. And I said, "Will these tariffs on Canada and Mexico, where we get 63% of our oil imports, so 25%, will that help lower gas prices?" I said, "What do you think?" And he kind of looked at me like, "What?" And I said, "You know that those tariffs, Canada and Mexico don't pay. The importing country pays, and those costs are passed on to you and me." And he kind of looked at me like, "What?" Then he goes, "Well, he's going to drill." I said, "He is." Well, I said, "I believe the U.S. oil production right now is at an all-time record. And also there are And I said, these oil companies, oil drilling companies, they're in business to make money, right? He said, yeah, they're in business to make money. So I said, so if you're an oil company and you're producing oil and selling oil, do you want to sell it at a lower price or a higher price? He says, you want to sell it at a higher price. Well, I said, well, if you're an oil company, why do you want to keep producing to the point that...
Oh my goodness. I heard it might go to 8.
I didn't think it was going to be that much. I thought it was going to be like $5. I didn't even check. I just pulled up because I need gas either way. So.
I had $3, and so I spent my $3 on gas. And it's half a gallon, I mean.
Now, the question we have, with fuel costs soaring, are you adjusting your daily lives? How much longer can South Africa rely on its strategic fuel reserves? We only have about 2 weeks of supply left. How are you planning to adjust your lives?
How could you do this to me?
So now Donald Trump has basically came out and said, hey, I've been looking at this and lowering grocery prices may be a little difficult, insinuating that he may not be able to lower grocery prices. I have no idea what I'm laughing at. I have to pay for groceries also. I guess I just don't, like, what did you all think was going to happen? Like, did you seriously think that you were just going to vote for him? And then somehow when he went into office, he was just going to wave his magical orange fingers around like hocus cadabra. And then all of a sudden grocery prices just fall. Like they just fall. That's not how it works. Like, he didn't even have a plan.
Said magical orange fingers and hocus cadabra. And honestly, that is the most accurate description of the entire campaign. No policy papers, no economic framework. No supply chain strategy, just vibes and promises and people. Ate it up. There was never a plan. There was a concept of a plan, which is just a fancy way of saying nothing. You got sold a fantasy at a rally and the receipt just came due. And now she's asking the only question that matters. What did you think was going to happen?
You guys knew he didn't have a plan. He has a plan for nothing. He has an idea, a concept, but no plan. He's never had a plan. He just told you, hey, I'm going to lower grocery prices. And you bought it. And here we are. That's all I got. Take care of yourself. Love y'all.
How is this all impacting you? Gas prices across the country are climbing as one of the side effects from this war in Iran.
I'm old enough to remember when gallons, right? So if it went up, 7 cents a gallon, people were shocked. And now we're talking about 30 cents a liter.
Dan McTagg, who's the president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, says he expects prices to go up even further this week. So let me give you a bit of a snapshot from across Canada as the work week begins. According to Dan McTagg's website, the average price in Halifax today is $1.52.7 a liter. Montreal, $1.78.9 a liter. In Toronto, $1.58.9 a liter.
Halifax, $1.52. Montreal, $1.78. Vancouver, pushing $1.89. These Canadian numbers are staggering, and these families up there are now choosing between a full tank and a full fridge. And Canada is not at war with anyone. They are just caught in the blast radius of someone else's decisions. That is what people do not understand about global energy markets. When one country destabilizes the supply, everybody pays no matter where you live on the map.
Winnipeg, by the way, is the cheapest in the country, sitting at $1.43.9 a liter. In Calgary, it's $1.53.9 a liter. These are, by the way, all on average. Meanwhile, in Vancouver, the most expensive spot in the country at $1.88.9 a liter.
Do you regret your vote right now?
Well, between him and her, I thought he was the better choice, but honestly, I miss my Uncle Joe. I was a nobody, and I was balling then. Now, I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even show you $5 in my pocket.
We spoke to Trump voters here in Florida who are ticked off about the fact that the gas prices in the state have gone up by an average of about 60 cents within just a week.
I would just wish he'd keep up on his campaign promise and say he was going to put it under $3. He'd end that war so fast. But here it is, 5 years later, helping his buddy out get his more money. And then never mind charging us Americans all sorts of money for fuel that you just stole from Venezuela.
This man in Florida is standing at a gas pump 60 cents poorer than he was last week. And he is still framing it as a wish, like he is blowing out birthday candles. I wish he would keep his promise. I wish he would end the war. I wish prices would come down. Wishing is not a policy position, brother. Wishing is what children do before bed. Meanwhile, the other guy said he went from bawling to not being able to show $5 in his pocket. That is not a talking point. That is someone's life collapsing in real time. And they are all standing there hoping instead of asking why it got worse.
And those gas prices are getting higher because of volatile oil prices due to the war in Iran, a war that these Trump voters tell us they hope wraps up quickly.
If I could, speak to the president, I'd just encourage him to finish up this war and get us back to a safe world.
He's saying about for our safety, leave somebody alone, they won't bother you.
Hopefully this conflict over there will end, it's just unfortunate.
The overall vibe here at the gas pump amongst these Trump voters is they feel like the economy is not going well right now.
At the moment, I'm really out of work.
My hope is that it's temporary and it doesn't last for too long, and oil prices come back down. That's my hope.
My head's about to fucking explode. If I have to listen to one more person fucking whine, one more fucking Trump voter bitching to me about the cost of food in Walmarts, I'm gonna fucking die. I just had to listen to these two fucking idiots wearing a MAGA hat. Both of them. Mr. and Mrs. Inbred. Whining like bitches over the cost of food. You should have heard them. He couldn't believe it. And I couldn't resist saying, damn, this place is fucking outrageous now, right? It's crazy. And he said, this is what he said. He said, you know what? President's policies are kicking in soon. You'll get some relief, son.
This man is genuinely about to lose his mind in the checkout aisle, and I cannot blame him. He watches two people in MAGA hats complaining about food prices while using assistance cards to pay. And when he engages them, one of them hits him with, soon you will get some release. Soon. The man is broke right now, and he is telling a stranger to just wait. That is cult behavior, and I do not say that lightly. When you are standing in the evidence of failure and still defending the source of it, you are no longer a voter. You are a believer. And believers do not need proof, they just need faith, and that faith is costing them everything.
That's what he said to me. That's how deep these fucking people are in the cult. In the fucking grocery store, while at the same time broke as fuck. He's got his little fucking Georgia card there for food and shit. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. And they still defend him. I guess to undefend him would show how fucking stupid you really were in the first place, I guess. I just thought that shit. You're getting fucked at Walmart's. The tariffs are screwing them. Walmart told Trump to suck on it. So now what? We're paying it 40 to 70% more on fucking everything. But y'all are feeling that. So yeah, along with the two Mr. Pa and Ma Kettle in there. I gotta go. I'm fucking having a stroke over this bill.
It's gas prices that set the price of electricity. So if you get a big spike in gas prices, as we saw after Russia invaded Ukraine, that flows through to the price of electricity. The price of electricity was the major driver of inflation. And because we had inflation running so hot back then, we had 13 interest rate hikes.
If, of course, we see a repeat of that situation, we could infer that the price rise in electricity is going to push interest rates higher.
I think so, absolutely. There's only really three big gas exporters in the world. There's Australia, there's Qatar, and there's America. They account for about 70% of all exports. So you take one of those out, that's a mighty big hole in global supply.
This Australian analyst just explained the entire global crisis in 30 seconds flat. 3 countries control 70% of gas exports, and one of them, Qatar, just got knocked offline by drone strikes. No repairs until the war ends, which means weeks or months of a gaping hole in global supply. And here's the cruel irony. The Australian government benefits because they collect more tax revenue on higher prices. But Australian families pay more for cooking, heating, and basic survival. The money flows up, the pain flows down. Same story, different continent, same result every single time.
Qatar, their facility has been hit by drones, and they're not prepared to actually start repairs until the war is over. Now, if this war drags on for weeks or months, then you're going to have more months or weeks or months for the repairs to take place and then to get back up to speed with supplying the world.
Does this mean that it's actually good for Australia in budgetary terms, but a bad situation for Australian consumers.
I think that sums it up pretty well, because what we're going to see is the government will end up with more income from tax from the sale of LNG because prices are going to be much higher, but households will be paying much more for their gas. And bear in mind too, a lot of households and a lot of businesses rely on gas as their primary source of energy in households for cooking, for heating, all sorts of things. I guess one mitigating factor here is the fact that we're not in winter just yet, so the household use for gas is lower than it ordinarily would be.
The bombs may be exploding in the Middle East tonight, but the fallout is rattling households and businesses right here in this country. Most immediately, it's pain from the oil supply shock. CBS's Willie James Edmond is in West Palm Beach, Florida, traveling with the president. Willie James.
Jerika, good evening to you. As energy prices climb here at home, the Trump administration is trying to protect confidence in the war with Iran, with officials saying the military campaign is ahead of schedule, even as the price for the war increases.
That's a lot. This weekend, sticker shock at the pump for millions of Americans as the average for a gallon of regular gasoline ticks up 71 cents since the start of the war with Iran, drawing comparisons to an earlier energy crisis.
71 cents per gallon, an increase since the start of the war. 71 cents. And they are drawing comparisons to the energy crisis of the 1970s, which should scare everybody. The White House advisor gets on TV and says, well, in the 70s, we did not produce much oil, but now we do, as if that is supposed to be comforting while families are watching their gas bills eat their entire paycheck. Then they casually drop that the war has already cost $12 billion and they might need to ask Congress for more. $12 billion and counting, but grocery prices are too hard to fix. Let that math sit with you for a minute.
Several more oil companies today announced wholesale gasoline price increases.
On Face the Nation, White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett said the economy will recover.
The bottom line is that in the 70s, we didn't produce much oil, but now we do.
Hassett also says the cost of the war is an estimated $12 billion, and the administration could approach Congress for more.
Do you need to ask Congress for more money to pay for what you're doing?
I think right now we've got what we need. Whether we have to go back to Congress for more is something that I think that Russ Vought and OMB will look into.
Meanwhile, a brewing war over TV airwaves. FCC Chair Brendan Carr writing, broadcasters that are running hoaxes and news distortions, also known as fake news, have a chance now to correct course before their license renewals come up. Carr's post is a reaction to President Trump's complaint about Iran war coverage. The FCC's sole Democratic commissioner, Anna Gomez, blasted Carr's statement, adding, such threats violate the First Amendment and will go nowhere.
Now, broadcast TV licenses aren't up for renewal until mid-2028, but in an exclusive interview with CBS News, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr stressed that nothing is imminent, but TV licenses should not be treated as a property right, Jerika.
Willie James Edmond traveling with the president tonight. Thank you.
What do you think was the number one thing that contributed to inflation through Biden's presidency?
One thing was killing a bunch of chickens due to some mysterious. Well, that was
strike
Biden's
one.
reason.
Try something else. Try something else. What did anything else happen?
Is that not
the majority of his presidency, especially in the beginning, and then 2022 onwards? Where were these big inflation hikes coming from? Were there two huge events that happened?
What I believe was.
Do we not know?
No. Let me tell you. This is what my research that I did, because I'll be honest with you,
Okay.
I wasn't deep diving into this because I was working to feed my family.
Okay.
But I believe the price of energy increased exponentially, and that creates has a cascade effect. It raises the price of everything. Everything has to be shipped. If you raise the price of energy, then everything that has to be shipped, the price will go up.
Okay. I'm about to do a magic trick. Ready?
We know you're
about to do a magic trick. Ready?
Make that disappear
so
for all these people.
I'm curious. Right. Why was the last year of Trump's presidency so horrible for the economy?
COVID. It was.
Okay.
Well. Republican voters are starting to already have buyer's remorse. They are pissed off and flooding town halls across the country. Last night in Georgia, Congressman Richard McCormick, who represents a district that Trump won by 22 points, they handed him his head on a fucking silver platter, complaining about all the cuts in services and aid and the terminations, the firings.
Voters in deep red districts. 22-point margins, flooding town halls, and screaming at their own representatives. 1 month in, 1 month, and the base is already fracturing. Cuts to services, mass firings, inflation, gas prices, eggs all going through the roof. And all the benefits are flowing straight to billionaires and corporate boardrooms while regular people drown. He is absolutely right when he says imagine what happens in a few months. Because if month 1 looks like this with town halls turning into revolts, I genuinely do not know what month 6 is going to feel like for the average family in this country.
Putting people out of jobs, not being able to cut inflation like they promised they would. Gas prices, food prices, eggs, it all going through the roof. And all he's doing is making his billionaire pals and corporate America richer, and voters don't like it. Now, it's only 1 month into this administration. There's 47 left to go. And if they're this pissed already, could you imagine what's going to happen in a few months? Check out my podcast, The Back Room with Andy Ostroy, wherever you get your podcasts. And check out my writing at substack.com/@AndyOstroy.
Do you know what's a sick joke? The Australian government, particularly the RBA. The decision to increase interest rates today was nothing more than just a kick in the guts. Disgusting. And why does it fall back on mortgage holders to help reduce spending? I don't get it. Petrol is nearly double. Food's more expensive. Electricity's more expensive. Living in general is more expensive. Someone please tell me where in their right mind they come up with this decision. Especially now. People are already struggling, and decisions like this can make or break people. You guys need a reality check. They say we have a watchdog watching these things, but we need a fucking guard dog.
What we watched today was people from 5 different countries all experiencing the same shock. Gas prices surging, groceries climbing, interest rates rising, and the promises that were supposed to fix everything turning to dust. Voters who were told to trust the plan are now standing in checkout lines pretending the pain is not real. So here's the question. When the cost of loyalty finally exceeds the cost of groceries, what happens next? Drop your answer in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Mind Mirror doesn't look away.